What's up? What's up? Once again, I'm Josh Kim. If you haven't met me, I'd love to meet you. A little about myself. I graduated from Cal Poly with a degree in kinesiology. But yeah, and I just wanted to do a little bit of introduction before I actually got to my talk. So if we can go to the next slide. All right, so this is a little bit of my past, I guess. The picture on the right, that's me as a freshman with my mom and my dad 4 years ago. And I do have a brother. He's 5 years younger than me. I just didn't put a picture of him up there, but I swear I love him. The picture on the left was actually my first CGs. It was a little formal dinner that we had at Vista Grande for all you old people out there. The photo on top right is, at the time I didn't know we were going to be roommates, or that's when we wanted to be roommates, and I didn't know they'd be my closest friends for the rest of my college life. And then fast forward to the next slide and to senior year. The picture on the left is all of us handsome men grown up and graduated. And then on the bottom right is all the guys from my class last year who graduated, and I thought it was a cute photo, so there you have it. All right, and I believe that's it for pictures. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to share how I kind of got to this point and how I grew up, I guess. Just a quick story, I guess. I grew up I was born in Korea, and I moved here when I was 3, and my parents moved here because I don't know, they just wanted a better life for me at the time. And yeah, I grew up Christian, but I didn't really make my faith my own until sophomore year of high school. But it wasn't even until college I took my faith a little more seriously. And even though I was kind of starting to take it more seriously, I've always had my doubts about myself when it came to leading, and when it came to self-confidence. I had kind of a lot of issues, especially when it came to my faith. I just didn't feel like I was good enough, I guess, to lead, and I didn't feel like I had enough competency to kind of lead a ministry or lead some part of the ministry. So up until my senior year, actually, I didn't serve in Epic, or I didn't have a big role or whatever. And it wasn't until my junior year, after I went to a vision trip to East Asia with Epic, that was kind of where God told me that no matter what my flaws or my insecurities may be, He's going to use every single one of those weaknesses and strengths to build His kingdom up. And with that, that's kind of how I got here, I guess. Last year, people were telling me what interns and staff do for Epic, and they're saying you gotta love people, you gotta be an open book, you gotta, I don't know. It just seemed like I fit the role, so I took a leap of faith, and well, here I am with all you guys in this beautiful room. But yeah, that's a little bit about myself. And before I actually begin my talk, I just wanted to start off with a word of prayer. So if you would close your heads, apparently, and also bow them. Let me start with the word of prayer. Dear God, I just thank you for today. God, would you let us just glorify you in this place? God, let my words be your words, and just give the students here open hearts just to listen to what I say, God. And just, help me be wise in what I say, and hopefully hearts will be touched today. We love you, and just pray for a great night, God. All this we pray in your name. Amen. All right, so to begin my talk, I actually really like what Matt Mendoza did last week, how he defined what refuge was. Oh wait, actually before I start, my talk is God is our priority. That is my talk. Yeah, whatever. But anyway, last week I really liked how Matt defined the word refuge, because his message was on God is our refuge. So I wanted to kind of define what priority was. I know you probably know what it means, but so I didn't use Merriam. Merriam I did not like, so I used dictionary.com. And dictionary.com says this. Priority means highest or higher in importance, rank, privilege, etc. And I just want you all to kind of keep that in your head, as I have this talk today, just kind of remind yourself that's what it means. And sure. Let me just get in some priorities, I guess, you all should be having, I guess, in this season of life is school, work, family, money, financial stuff. I don't know, talking to your boyfriend, girlfriend, wherever they are. I don't know what your priorities priorities are. But that's what I want to ask you today is, what is truly your priority and how is that really shaping your life? And yeah, for my talk, I just wanted to share a story of this summer. I feel like when people kind of ask you like how your summer went, you're supposed to tell them like, oh, good, great. And like you tell them like the things that you did, but it wasn't like that for me. Not to be like dramatic or anything, but the first 2/3 of the summer was probably one of the roughest times of my life. And it really started with support raising. So for those of you who don't know what support raising is, it's basically some process that I have to go through to work with Epic or Crew, and basically I have to raise the funds for myself and basically for my salary and other things. It's like what you do when you raise money for missions. But yeah, it started with support raising, and the thing is with support raising, I just set expectations for myself. I told myself I thought I could do this, and I felt like I could do it with my own powers. And I don't know, support raising just felt so natural to me, because like what I was supposed to do is go on one-on-one appointments with people and just kind of talk to them and kind of like share my life and how it was going and ask them for money at the end. And I don't know, I thought I was good at that. I thought it was natural, and that's how I felt. I thought I could do this with ease. But because of that, I started to prioritize success for myself not in an eternal perspective, but in a worldly matter. And with that, I also wasn't praying enough for God to be with me and for me to seek after him. And including with the expectations that I put on myself, I set a lot of expectations for others. And that kind of meant for me, like, I set numbers on people, and I put numbers on people, and I kind of like, and whether or not they would say yes to support me. And near the middle of the summer, so basically I need to hit a goal for support raising every year and then. And I don't know, like in the middle of the summer, I just wasn't getting the numbers that I needed. Like, I just felt like a failure. Like, honestly, like it was kind of sad because I had these like such high expectations for myself, and like thinking that I could do this on my own, and realizing that like I'm not there. I'm trash, basically. And like I'm not good enough. And I felt this anger and resentment towards myself, first of all, for putting expectations to myself and to God, because I just felt like God wasn't there for me this summer. And I felt that way also because I kept hearing from people like, oh, like God's gonna provide for you if you pray, God's gonna do this amazing thing for you, like he's called you out to do this, like, and that's how I felt. Like I thought this was my plan. I thought God wanted me to be in this place, and with support raising, I just thought that was like a minor bump and he would help me over it. But because I wasn't getting those numbers, it just didn't feel like God was there for me. So I started to keep asking God, like over the first 2/3 of the summer, like, God, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And again, like I just felt like he wasn't there, and I felt like a failure. And because I just didn't hear a voice, or I didn't feel like I was getting an answer, I just felt so alone and defeated because my expectations weren't met. And I don't know, I just kept thinking to myself, I'm not good enough, and I'm not competent. And the thought just kept running to my mind, like, am I supposed to give up? Is this God telling me like I shouldn't be interning? Like, is support raising this huge thing where like this God is actually telling me no? But eventually I got a response from God. After asking God so many times, where are you? It sounded like God asked me, where are you? And I just kind of asked myself, like, where am I actually? Like where am I with like support raising, and where am I with where God is, and how top of a priority is he right now? And I started to realize for myself that it wasn't that God wasn't there for me, it was that I wasn't there for him. I wasn't prioritizing God, but rather I was prioritizing the process of becoming an intern and obsessing whether or not I could make it. So again, the worldly kind of view of what success kind of meant for me. And I was so caught up and so worried on my own abilities and on my talents that I wasn't focusing on why he wanted me to do this in the first place. I wasn't focusing on the true reason why I was there support raising in the first place. And I don't know, with all these feelings just rushing back of like kind of reminding myself like, oh, I'm incompetent, I'm not good enough, like I just didn't want it to be a repeat of what my freshman to junior year looked like in college, because I don't know, the reason why I didn't serve in Epic was because I felt incompetent, because I didn't feel good enough. And honestly, one thing that I do regret is not serving in Epic. And I didn't want that to happen again. I didn't want it to repeat because I knew I would regret it. So I kept telling myself, like, no, like, I was in the wrong this whole time, and I was the one not prioritizing God. And like, I'm not gonna let that stop me from interning and doing what I want to do. So yeah, that's kind of what like the first half of my summer looked like. And next, I kind of just wanted to share like some verses that just meant a lot to me this summer. It came up a lot this summer, so I wanted to share it too. It's on the slide. It's Matthew 6:31 to 34. Feel free to read along. Therefore, do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the Gentiles seek after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. But seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. I don't know, these verses just meant a lot to me this summer, and it really helped me get through. And like verse 32 says, God knows what you want, and he knows what you need. So don't fret about the small things, and don't fret about those things, because if you do focus on God as your priority, and you do have him on that top of your list, everything else will come into play. Everything else naturally will come into play, because God is there for you. And I just also wanted to share a quote from an article that I was reading with the passage. And I really liked it, so I wanted to share it. And it says, we need to seek after God's face and not his hand. If we seek his face, his hand will always be open to us. I'll read that again. We need to seek after God's face and not his hand. If we seek his face, his hand will always be open to us. So this is how I kind of interpreted it. Like, if you think of it like this, like, consider one of your good friends. When you talk to them, do you look at their hands when you talk to them? Like, no. I hope not. Dang. And are you friends with them solely for the fact that you think that they're going to help you every single time you ask them for help? I hope not too. Or when you talk to them, do you look at their face? And are you friends with them as an entirety and love them as a whole, where help just kind of comes naturally? That's kind of what I want to encourage you guys. Like, that's what I think our relationship with God should look like. Don't be talking to his hands. Talk to his face. Look up to him and love God for the entire that he is, not for the fact that you expect him to help you whenever and just when you need it. And don't just go to God just when you need it. Go to him always. Have him be your priority. Like I said again, like, this passage really brought me peace and stability over the summer, and it really renewed my mind. And I just realized, like, if we feel like anger and resentment, unworthiness, like some depression, like whatever negative emotion that you have, like, who knows, maybe it is a sign that you're not putting God as a priority. And even preparing for this talk, I was telling people that I was like deathly afraid, and that I was worried about how my talk was gonna go and like how many hearts it was gonna affect. But I was realizing like, dude, I'm a hypocrite. I'm literally writing stuff to tell you guys to do, but I can't even do them myself. I was worrying about something that like I shouldn't be worrying about. Like, these aren't my words, these are the experiences that God gave me so I can share it to you. And I just needed to refocus on myself and center myself around God, and realize I wasn't doing this to make myself feel good or look good, but rather that I would hope to be a vessel to God and hope and tell everyone about him through my experiences that God gave me. And also, I needed to understand that I'm not doing this by myself. Because I have God with me, I'm never alone, and I should never feel alone. Also, I do understand that we may never have God as our tip-top priority all the time, but God also knows that. He understands that for us. Like, we aren't perfect beings, and we never will be. But then again, that's also why we have Jesus, who died for our sins and loves us unconditionally and forgives us for everything. And in every single area where we fall short, he lifts us up. For this last part of my talk, I kind of wanted to talk about how like my outlook changed after the whole like support raising process and how like I felt throughout the summer. So some points that I had were, one, God showed me this summer that there's literally nothing I can do without having my focus be on God. I need to make sure that He's even in my daily life, like chores, hanging out with people, like driving, I don't know, anything. Like I need God to be there. I need to understand that He is there. And even in times of mundaneness where you feel like you can do everything yourself, like make sure you have God first. Like even if you think that you can do everything by yourself, you really can't. Like, you really can't. So make sure you do have God first. And yeah, I understand even for myself that I'm in a season where I might have more priorities. Like, I don't know, like next year, what am I gonna do? Like, am I gonna do anything with my kinesiology degree? Like, I don't know. Like, I have my parents pressuring me all the time, asking me what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't know. But what I do know is that I don't want those things in the top of my head this year to be my priority. I want God to be my priority and hope that God provides after, like just naturally, and those things just come into place. I also learned that when you decide to serve God with your whole heart, your life will prosper and your joy and peace will increase. And I truly felt that way this summer. Like I mentioned, like the beginning of the summer was super tough for me, and it was clear like I wasn't focusing on God, and that brought me a lot of sadness, a lot of mental instability, and like He wasn't my priority. But in the second half, when I started to realize what was wrong with what I was doing, like when I did try to refocus my life to Him, I felt good. Like I was happy. I genuinely felt joy when I was talking to my friends, when I was meeting new people or whatever. Like even support raising felt good at that time. And yeah, I don't know. It just like it was clear that like my peace and joy was happier because I was putting God as my priority. And I don't want that to stop just for the summer. Like this year, like I'm here with you guys, and I want to carry it out into my year here in SLO. I want to strive to make God a priority in my life, and just to be able to naturally spread God's love to everyone and joy to everyone this year. And hopefully like that will go into you guys and you guys spread that love naturally too. And my last point that I just wanted to say is that if you're here today and you're not Christian, like don't worry if none of this makes sense to you. I just hope that everyone here was kind of just able to figure out what your priorities are for this season, and just kind of figure out what you should be prioritizing. And yeah, I mean, if you want to talk more, like I'm here for this summer. It's my job to be here for you guys, and I love it. So feel free to hit me up. I'll love to talk to you about anything. Yeah, that's all I had, honestly. So. I actually have discussion questions for you guys, so there's a slide. So feel free to get into groups of like 2, 3, or 4 and like discuss these questions. So the questions are, what are some of your priorities right now, and why do you think these are your priorities? 2 is, what is stopping you from having God as a priority? And 3, what is one step that you can make to have God be a priority? And if you feel uncomfortable answering these questions, like don't be afraid to say like, oh, can we talk about something else? Like just catch up with one another, like do something. I just want you guys to talk in smaller groups and be more intimate with each other. So yeah, get on it.